No nonsense gin drinking. All gin and a surprising amount of nonsense.
Hello gin lovers, welcome back. I'm Bobby Freeman. Today, my friends, we've got a bit of a different video for you because I am going to be trying my first ever whiskey. Now don't worry, it's still going to be a gin-based channel, but I just thought to myself, you know, I've had a bit of time off recently because, well, we had the little baby and I was looking after him and I sort of had a bit of time to reflect and I thought to myself, you know what? You know, people have been encouraging me to mix things up and get a bit creative. So I thought, yeah, why don't we try something a bit different? And also, I am 44 years old now, so I'm at that age where I think I probably should be, you know, a whiskey drinker. I probably should, you know, sort of be sitting an evening with a whiskey glass, just sort of doing that. I don't know if whiskey drinkers do that, but that's what I think you should do. So I had a look in one of our cupboards, and at the back, I found this stashed away. Now, as you can see, a lot of it has been drunk, but I think we were having a party one night, and people must have drunk it then. I don't know, but this is Glenmorangie. I'm probably saying that wrong. You know, to any hardcore whiskey drinkers, apologies about this, but this is not going to be, you know, a whiskey tutorial. This is the opposite. This is someone who knows nothing about whiskey, kind of delving into that world. And I'm kind of guessing, I've done a bit of research, I think Glenmorangie, oh god, this is embarrassing. Glenmorangie, let's call it that for purposes of this video and I'll check afterwards. I think it is about kind of on a par with perhaps like a Tanqueray or a Sipsmiths in the gin world, because it's based at around, oops, good lord, this table's a lot slidey than I realised. In fact, I could do that thing like they do in the Western films. What do you want, stranger? I'll have a whiskey. Coming right down. Or something like that. You know, I don't think I'm, you know, ideal casting for a Western film, but you never know. Oh, there's Narissa at the door. Hang on a minute. Oh, look who's just turned up at the door. Little William. Look, William. Look, he's got a little hat on, but he's apparently screamed all the way home. So I'm going to have to take a short break. You don't get this on other YouTube channels, do you? But I'm going to have a short break to give him a bit of a feed. Aren't I, William? Yes. Oh, he's surprisingly comfortable in front of the camera. Anything to say? No, just a small belch. I'll see you in a minute. Right, sorry about that. What was I saying? Yes, so also you might notice that the gin shirt has gone. Okay, now there is a couple of reasons for this. One, it is literally falling apart at the seams. The whole back of this arm is completely gone. Now, Narissa has tried to fix it several times, but you get to the point where it's just become like almost like a sort of a lattice work at the back. So that's the first reason. Second reason is I can't actually find it. So maybe I'll give it another few goes, but for today, oh God. But for today, I'm gonna see if I can get through the video without it. Now we're gonna be trying this neat, we're gonna be trying it with water, we're gonna be trying it with soda water, and we're gonna be trying it on the rocks, because I believe those are the four kind of states of, I was gonna say states of whiskey, sounds like the states of matter, isn't it? The four sort of primary states of whiskey. You can have it hot as well, which I believe is called a hot toddy, and to me, I don't know, but that phrase, I don't like that phrase. Sounds a bit stupid to me. I don't like the sound of it. It sounds almost a bit Scottish to me, doesn't it? Oh, Christ, I feel like shite today. I had a few hot toddies last night. By the way, if there are any Scottish people watching that and are offended, I'd be very surprised. Right then, let's not fanny around any longer, because that's more fanning around than I usually do in these videos. So let's do what I do in the gin channel, which is have a look at and an in-depth view and sort of find out a bit about this particular drink on the website, shall we? Now, I think this website has been slightly updated. I think the drink has even been slightly updated. I think I've got a slightly old version here, but we'll have a read through it anyway. So our signature single malt has been reimagined, which is, you know, this is what I mean. I don't think I've got the reimagined version. Now, at 12 years old, the original is as smooth and as luscious as you knew it before, but now even more delicious. I think I'm going to cut past these bits because I don't think it's relevant because I've got the old version of the drink. This is a whiskey that welcomes you with a rush of citrus and holds your attention with layers of luscious flavour. At Glenmorangie, we are constantly embarking on new sensory journeys, as am I, yet we always come home to the original, as do I. Swirling with creamy vanilla and a rush of citrus, layered with honey and peach, this single malt takes the original's kaleidoscope of flavours to new heights of deliciousness. The whiskey has been met with delight by the critics who gave it a coveted gold medal at the prestigious World Whisky Awards in 2024. Well, that sounds bloody good to me, my friends. As I say, I'm not sure how much of that is actually relevant because this is an older version of the drink, but whatever. Let's just throw caution to the wind and do it. So here we go, my friends, with my first ever whiskey. So here we go, my friends. I've got myself a nice little whiskey glass here. I believe that's a whiskey glass anyway. That's the sort of glass I would imagine someone in, you know, in a movie drinking whiskey in. So let's pour a little bit of whiskey in there like that. Not too much. So what do we think of the smell, first of all? And I tell you what, growing up, I was always kind of, when I say growing up, in my sort of late teens and 20s and even my 30s really, I was always a bit repelled by the smell of whiskey. It always just sort of was a bit kind of harsh to me. But I must say, I think it's something to do with being in my sort of mid 40s now. There's something actually quite comforting about that. It's fiery, yet warm, yet kind of comforting at the same time. Could I discern any of those flavors or aromas that they talked about on the website? Don't think so. I don't really get any citrus. There's almost a sort of a kind of a touch of butterscotchy to it in some way. I don't know. Anyway, let's put that on there and let's go for it. So this is neat. Now, to be honest, this is going to be a bit of a shock to the system. I mean, when I say I haven't tried whiskey before, I've tried it in cocktails before, but I don't think that really counts because that's just kind of, you know, it's a mixture of all kind of things. So this might be a little bit sharp for it. Sharp, I don't know, harsh, I don't know. Who knows? Let's find out. Let's put it in, well, we won't know until we put it in the mouth, will we? So let's do that now. Okay, right. Wow. Okay, so it's kind of, the first thing I get is it's a mixture of warmness and harshness together. And it does, you know, when you compare it to gin, because gin's a very, very different drink, it is a little bit of a shock to the system. It sizzles on the lips a little bit. But do you know what? It's a kind of, I say sensation, it's several sensations. There's that warmness and then there's sort of almost a stinginess on the lips as well. I don't think I get any sort of citrus or anything like that, but it's a bunch of sensations that I think I could probably get used to. I'm not sure neat is going to be the way I would like to drink it, you know, which makes sense because I don't really like to drink gin neat, but it's certainly not as harsh or unpleasant as I was expecting it to be, and I think that's high praise indeed. But before we go on, guys, I want to take a moment to tell you about the sponsor of today's show, which is TOZO headphones. And I tell you what, I have featured TOZO headphones on the show before, and as my regular viewers know, I actually used TOZO even before they started collaborating with me, and they are amazing. Now, these are their HT3 models, so they've got 90 hours of playback on one charge. You've got an app you can download so you can adjust all the EQ levels to suit your liking, but my favorite bit is the adaptive noise cancelling. It was absolutely amazing. I pop these things on, you cannot hear a thing. It's especially handy for when Narissa's nagging me to tidy all this up so she can have her dining room back. And the best thing is they are just as good as some of the premium brands, but a fraction of the price. You can get these for just under £50 on their website, and for, you know, what you get, that is really, really good value for money. So if you fancy trying out some of these, click on the link in the section below and get yours today. So then, let's try it with water, because I used to work in a pub when I was about 19 or 20, and there's an old boy who used to come in. He used to drink whiskey and water, and I thought, it seems a bit of a strange combination. Why would you want to water something down? However, as with gin, when you get the master distillers who try it neat, they always put a spot of water in there because it releases some of those oils and those flavors in the same way that tonic water does with gin. So let's give that a go, shall we? I've got a little water squirter here. I've literally no idea how much water to put in, so I'm just going to take a bit of a guesswork here, a little bit of a, maybe that much? I don't know. Let's give that a go, see how that affects those sort of flavors and sensations. Here we go. I'm doing that sort of thing naturally. Is that what you do when you drink whiskey? I feel like people just stand around doing this when they drink whiskey. I don't know. Let me know. Anyway, let's give that a whirl, shall we? So, doesn't taste much different to me. I'm going to whack a little bit more and see what happens. I'll probably end up watering it down now, but who knows? I'll try that again. You know what? That does kind of open up the flavours a little bit more. I must say that there is almost an essence of getting a little bit of citrusiness in there now. Is there any peachiness or fruitiness like that, and vanillas and things? I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe I have to be, maybe my palate has to be matured, has to have been given a chance to mature a little bit and get used to it before I discern those flavours. I suppose when, you know, like the first time I tried gin, I probably wouldn't have been able to separate all those different aspects. But now, you know, obviously now I'm a seasoned connoisseur. Well, I can. However, I think for now, I think it did a little bit. I think it did a little bit, but just no huge amount of difference. If you know, sort of really nothing to really write home about. So then, let's try it with soda water, shall we? So this is basically, I suppose, a fizzy whiskey, if you will. So let's. Again, I'm not really sure how much to put in. So I'm guessing maybe a similar amount I would to in gin. I don't know with the tonic to the gin. So let's give that a go then, shall we? So here we go. Whisky, I don't know why, I always like to put a H in front of a W. All British people do that if they're Ponzi idiots. Anyway, let's get this down the hatch. This is soda water and whisky. So here we go. It's similar to to what it was like with water, but it kind of, the aeration in there, the bubbles, I mean, this is a little bit flat, this one, but there's just enough in there to... kind of just gives it a sort of a different, obviously a different texture, but somehow that kind of works really well. Again, it's not, you know, I think I need more time to get used to it before I really start to appreciate all these differences, but that just kind of lifts it and give it a lighter sort of essence as well. That I could get used to. So then, this is the one I've kind of been looking forward to really, because this, my friends, is on the rocks. Now this is what I call the height of sophistication. A glass of whiskey with some ice in it and, well, drinking it. I don't know, just think it seems to look really, really cool. All we need is a nice big cigar as well, just to make it super cool and even more likely to kill me. So let's do this. I'm gonna run that across the top of the ice like that. Oh my God, now that, my friends, look at that. That is sophistication in a glass. Now I imagine you've probably got to swirl it around a little bit to get it properly cold, so I'll do a little bit of that. There we go, that's sufficient swirling going on there. So let's try this, whiskey on the rocks. Here we go. Oh, now we're talking. Okay, so that's essentially, this is essentially very similar to when I had it neat, but there's a little bit of dilution in there as well, and that's another thing that I really like to do with gin. I like to I know I don't try it with ice on this show, just for because I can't bother to keep going backwards and forward to the ice cube machine, the freezer, god damn it. But what I like to do is pour myself a gin. Narissa loves this as well, and just leave it for a little bit and get a tiny bit of dilution again, just to sort of separate those oils and bring those flavors out. And there's something about the temperature of a drink as well. Why is it a drink is always nicer when it's cold? I don't know, but all I know is that is such a different sensation on the tongue. I don't know if there's any more flavors popping out at me yet, but that warmth is still there, but it's crystallized into a kind of a, it's weird, it's like an icy warmth. It's like when you eat, I'm ashamed to admit this, but when I was younger, I used to go out and get drunk and then buy a nice hot and spicy pizza. And then sometimes I would leave it to go cold overnight, wake up in the morning and eat a slice of the cold pizza. Now, it was cold, but it was still spicy. So you had that juxtaposition between warmth or sort of artificial warmth, spicy warmth, and actual temperature. And you've got that going on here as well. I don't know, again, I think I'm getting a little bit of the citrus edge as well now. To me, that, again, the ice and the melting of the ice is unlocking a few more flavors. As I said before, I think I need more time for my palate to mature. No, not my palate to mature, but I think it's mature. I think it's just about there. But I think I need a little bit more time and experience to really kind of get to grips on all those flavors. However, if I were to choose a favorite, I'd hands down. I really liked the soda water. That was really good. In fact, I really like, I reckon, should I put some soda water in this as well? See how we get on with that. That will be, I don't know if I'm doing something, if I'm being a heathen by doing that. I don't know if that's blasphemy, but yeah, see, to me, that's a really nice drink. On the rocks with soda water. Is that a thing? I don't know. Whiskey drinkers are probably going to be screaming at the screen at me now saying don't do that. But that's really nice. So I'd have to pick out of those lot, probably on the rocks. If you are allowed to do on the rocks with soda water, then that, my friends, is my favourite. And I'm I'm going to be exploring this a little bit further, I think, at various points in the channel and indeed points in my life. But my point is, I wanted to try something different, and we definitely did it today. So I know a lot of my gin drinkers out there, my subscribers, are also whiskey and bourbon drinkers as well. So let me know what you think. More than ever, guys, if you've never commented before on one of my videos, if you've just been sort of, you know, just, I don't know, surreptitiously, just sort of clandestinely, I don't know, whatever those words are, secretly kind of watching in the shadows, please let me know what you think about this. Let me know what I've said wrong. Let me know what I should have been looking for. Let me know what I didn't do. I didn't do the hot toddy because I'd say just because it annoys me. But let me know what you think. I'm really interested in this. And also, give me any suggestions. Give me any suggestions of stuff I might do in the future for you. And God knows I will bloody well do it. So there we go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video today. As I say, a little bit different, but you know, variety is the spice of life. And if you've appreciated this variety, don't forget to press the like button on the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and if you want to be so kind as to join my patrons, then head over to the Patreon page, or if you want to join my YouTube members, you can press the button below this video. But until next time, guys, you all know the drill. Take care, stay safe. Thank you to all my patrons and my members, and keep drinking the, well, I usually say gin, but today, keep drinking, for the first time ever, the whiskey, and some gin as well, but not together. Probably not a good idea.